Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Stuart A. Swerdlow for the Expansions News Podcast of mid-December 2018. I'm sorry, I forgot to give you your space. Go ahead.
And Janet Diane Moya Swerdlow.
I see. I wanted you to have the end sentence, so it was more important.
Yeah, I think you were, some part of you was trying to block me out.
You think?
I think.
Oh. I don't know why you'd say that.
I don't know. Not a clue.
No. Yes, because you're clueless.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry about that. I was so concentrated on this first story that I just didn't know what I was doing. Because it's another episode of a staged event. And that was with Cherif Chakat, the gunman who killed multiple people at a Christmas market in Strasbourg, France last week, who is finally dead. 3 people were killed in the attack, and several others were injured. Now, the thing is, then they went looking for him, and they couldn't find him for a bit of time. And then police officers spotted him at Rue de Lazare, who fit the description of the suspect from the last week's shooting. And as the officers addressed him, he turned around and opened fire on them, and so they killed him. But before opening fire on the Christmas market in Strasbourg last week, Chakat, who's 29 years old, yelled, Allahu Akbar. And of course that means he was a Muslim terrorist. And the Islamic State group Amaq News Agency, never heard of Amaq News Agency, claimed that Chakat was a soldier of the group. And this is according to Associated Press. But here's the part that is, again, standard and really disturbing, because the police said that Chakat had been radicalized in prison and was being monitored by French intelligence services since at least 2015 due to his suspected extremism. So if they're monitoring him for 3 freaking years or more, why did this happen? This is the same story in Berlin, the same story in New York, the same story everywhere. Oh, we knew about him. Why don't you freaking stop him? Chakat was the subject of a fiche S, an indicator used by the French law enforcement to signal a potential national security threat.
Why wasn't he locked up?
Right. That's my question.
It makes no sense.
So, again, known to authorities and allowed to attack, but there's a reason. Do you want to know what the reason is?
Maybe.
Do you know what's going on in France every weekend with the yellow jacket people?
Yeah, I reported on that.
Well, and so Macron is in trouble. So this, according to my sources, was a purposeful diversion by Macron because of the protests in France, so that people will change their focus onto this instead of him.
I don't think it's going to change. They really do.
Well, this is from a good source, and that was a purposely staged thing that he did.
Well, I believe all that, but I know the people are not going to change. French people are very stubborn.
Oh, the French, they'll make it worse now for him. They will do what they did to Marie Antoinette, and he will deserve it. Anyway, just further north in Sweden, anti-globalist movement continues in Europe, and the people of Sweden took to the streets of Stockholm over the weekend to protest the UN Migration Pact. Did you know about the UN Migration Pact? Mm-mm. They don't want to pay a globalist climate tax, which is bundled into their fuel cost, and they don't want unchecked open border migration. It's a little too late for that, Swedish people. And it says here that the people finally had enough. Well,
that's what's happening everywhere.
That's what it says. Hundreds of Swedes gathered in Stockholm this past weekend to demonstrate against the UN Global Migration Pact, which the government is trying to push through without any real debate or discussing it with the people. There were 500, according to one left-wing, they call it a left-wing scientist, there were 500 demonstrators outside, and they said, we are not extremists, we are ordinary Swedes. And we know people in Sweden who also agree with this. One person said, I'm here for the little 9-year-old girl who was raped in a hiding room and beaten. I am here for the poor old who pay taxes throughout their lives and now have to starve and are homeless in the country that they trusted. I'm here for all those women who no longer dare to go out. I'm here for those who do not get what the social contract promises. So all those taxes, and sometimes 90% in tax in some cases in Sweden, all of that now goes to these immigrants who come in and they just automatically given citizenship and all kinds of housing and food and blah. I don't have to work. And all the Swedes who work their whole life are getting kicked in the butt and thrown in the street. That sounds like a good plan.
But this is happening to all the immigrants, the people
who
need
good,
to
so
help.
good on you, Swedes, for finally rising up. You're a few years too late, but do something. And the same for France. All these European leaders must go. Merkel's going. Theresa, or I call her Theresa May, is going, and so is Macron and his old lady handler. Now, according to sources, all Swedes, regardless of political affiliation, should participate in the demonstration and protest against the policies in Sweden. And it says, we will not give in. So yes, this is happening all over Europe. The EU is failing. What is being promoted as globalism is really a dictatorship and a removal of identity so that there is no creativity and no growth and no national identity or anything else, just one mass of
People.
useless people. And speaking of useless people, let's go to South Africa. The leader of a South African political party has called for the killing of white women and children because of a problem in the taxi industry. That makes like a good solution. Problem, let's just kill white people. His name is Andile Mngxitama. I can't even pronounce his name. Mngxitama. I'll just call him AM. He's the president of the Black First, Land First, or BLF party, who was speaking at a rally on the weekend in near Johannesburg when he made these violent comments. He told the cheering crowd, for each one person that is being killed by the taxi industry, we will kill 5 white people. For every one black person, we will kill 5 white people. Well, what could go wrong with that? And then he continued on to say, you kill one of us, we will kill 5 of you. We'll kill their women, we'll kill their children, we'll kill anything we find in our way. Well, it's a good thing apartheid ended. And he continues his rant and even calls for the deaths of the dogs and cats owned by white people. He also said that his party, the BLF, would be in parliament by 2019. But a complaint has been made against the party and found it guilty of inciting hatred or violence, you think? So they could lose their registration. This black activist is a Marxist revolutionary who is opposed to capitalism, and his party's militant stance has been accused of racism countless times. So here we have a case of reverse apartheid in South Africa, and I predict it will not end well, but in a bloody revolution. And remember what I was told many years ago when I was working in Cape Town by losing my memory, the white Dutch German people, the Afrikaners. They said that they know that when they are threatened by black people, their prophet told them that the Nazis would rise up from a hole in the Sahara coming up from Antarctica and save them. Let's see if that happens. Speaking of war, Russia's defense ministry has unveiled a new laser weapon system and in a series of advanced offensive systems that the Kremlin has pledged to pursue. It's called Peresvet system, and that includes a laser system as well as an underwater nuclear-powered drone and a nuclear-powered cruise missile. According to Putin said, we have achieved significant progress in laser weapons, and then he said, this is very interesting. Since last year, our troops have been armed with laser weapons. That's like stormtroopers from Star Wars.
Well, Dubai, they're showing those hovering motorcycles for their police. that raise up in the ground and.
Yeah, what things will happen with that. Then, of course, this is a new Cold War, which is happening now. It's the new Soviet Union. But watch behind the scenes, because there are things that have not yet been made public, and they will be soon. And finally, the University of West Indies, I never knew existed, Universities of West Indies Seismic Research Center recorded 54 earthquakes just north of St. Kitts this past weekend.
Wow, what do they normally? How many normally happen? Any?
Not that many. And it says this should be taken as a warning, you think, about the lack of earthquake preparedness in the region. And he said seismic hazard should be treated with great respect. He said the region has a history of devastating earthquakes, including one which was estimated between 8.1 and 8.5 that struck between Antigua and Guadeloupe in 1843. Another quake, estimated between 7.5 and 7.9, struck west of Trinidad in 1766.
Is that going to be felt in the lower part of the U.S.?
No, it's too
far
far away.
away.
But there could
I
be
didn't know if
tsunamis.
it's the plates and everything.
Well, he said to understand, in fact, that's what he said, because our place in the North American and South American plates is where they converge.
So it could start something stirring up in the southern part.
Given the population density we now have, we would expect to take a high death toll if the structures were not earthquake resistant. We should not wait to be devastated to learn. We can learn from other countries that had experiences and took measures and implemented them. So there will be quakes along the Caribbean tectonic edges. This is in my work, you can look it up. This includes the north coast of South America and all of Central America.
I just wonder if that could affect the one it's around St. Louis.
Well, they're all
Connected.
ultimately connected, but supposedly it doesn't, but I know that it does.
It's everything else moving. Well, it's just interesting. The Earth is moving, but always moves. So just that now
I feel some movement right now.
we're aware that things are moving. So my news, I don't have a lot of stories today, but the ones I do I think are important. And the first one has to do with Jessica Starr, 35 years old, a meteorologist from Detroit's Fox News, committed suicide, unfortunately, just last week. And she leaves a young daughter and a son and a husband, of course, and the rest of her family. So our condolences. Apparently, Miss Starr, who is a Michigan native, underwent Lasik eye surgery in October. And apparently, I guess it didn't go well, and she was forced to take time off at work. Then the doctors told her that in 3 months she should be 100%, but,
They're full of baloney, those doctors.
So anyway, it's just very unsettling because, as you know, Lasik surgery is really becoming quite popular amongst
It's been for
other
many
things.
years.
And there was another man in October who, I think it was October 6th, who did this, who also
Who's a
committed
Canadian.
that's just what I said. Who just committed suicide from his issue with Lasik surgery.
But he had a long time ago.
He'd had it, I'm trying to see in my notes if it says,
Like 11 years or something like
he
that.
said
A long
the
time.
Lasik surgery side effects ruined his life. He said, I cannot experience any type of pleasure. 1996, so that's a long time.
So
He
it's
said,
22 years.
Yeah, pain, more pain. Please forgive me for not being strong enough to cope. And apparently his parents said after surgery he started having migraines and dry eyes. And he could never get through that suffering. In fact, he had to sit around, I guess, with his eyes closed most of the time.
See, that's terrible.
It's very terrible.
You will want to commit suicide if you live like that.
Well, since 1996, that's a long time to live in that kind of pain. So I guess my point is no matter what you do need to, first of all, have the correct mental attitude so we don't attract these kind of situations. But you be sure and research whoever it is going to be doing this surgery on you.
Well, I still don't know if it's that. I think sometimes you have conditions in the nervous system and the optic area that you don't even know about.
Yes, and that's kind of like
after, and then it's too late.
Yeah, they said he had a rare condition called corneal neuralgia. And they also said that this news story says it's possibly the first documented suicide-related eye surgery in Canada But there is an online support group called Lasik Complications, run by a woman named Paula Koffer, that said there's been 10 documented such cases in the U.S. So, and they
That's
do.
just what's reported. I'm sure there's a lot more than that.
And they do, probably thousands every year, maybe millions every year now.
Yes.
But there are complications. So just like any kind of procedure you have done,
it's just get glasses.
it's very or you fix your mind pattern. Do your eye exercises, do vision therapy. So a lot of things that you can do, but it's not, fast like LASIK would be, but
Yeah.
it's still, your mind pattern is still your mind pattern. And then this story, this is a blackface story.
Uh-oh.
And again, I think
your words.
the issue that this story bothers me because one person is having a lot of influence, which in my opinion maybe isn't such a positive thing. But one person made this story happen. Prada, whose newest campaign features a number of mysterious creatures that they say are part biological, one part technological, and all parts Prada. There's 7 of them. They each exhibit supernatural powers and a few glaring quirks.
You mean Prada. Like the
Design.
handbags and...
Yeah. These creatures were raised in isolation within the austere confines of Prada Labs. Their features in the Pradamalia morphology include metal studs, ombre tones, polished wood, printed lips, and the iconic Saffiano leather. So this is how they describe their little creatures, all right? But a civil rights lawyer says that they are reminiscent of blackface. And she said, she's a staff attorney, the name is, I guess, Chinyere?
Who the heck knows?
Chinyere Ezie, a staff attorney at Nonprofit Center for Constitutional Rights, again, civil rights attorney. So she's shaking with anger over it because when she returned from a visit to the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C.,
blah, blah, blah.
She viewed an exhibit on blackface. So then when she walked past Prada's window in New York City, she said it was the very same racist and denigrating blackface imagery.
It's a designer company.
And I'm sure...
And they want everyone to buy their products, whether you're black or white or blue or purple.
Right, and they have all kinds of models from all different colors and races.
So here's my prediction. Prada's going to give her a choice of millions of dollars of clothing and blah, blah, and she'll say, oh, you know what? It's not so bad.
No, what they did was they actually decided to pull their campaign.
Oh.
Which, to me, is it a publicity stunt? Because it just doesn't make any sense, because I'm kind of like you. It's like, why based on one person, but it's giving Prada a lot of free advertising, not that they probably need it, but I just thought it was very interesting because Prada issued a statement that said Prada Group abhors racist imagery. The Pradamalia are fantasy charms composed of elements of the Prada oeuvre. They are imaginary creatures not intended to have any reference to the real world and certainly not blackface. We abhor all forms of racism and racist imagery. We will withdraw all of the characters in question from display and circulation.
Yeah, they abhor racism. How many black customers do they have?
Well, I don't know.
Comparatively.
I have not a clue.
It's Prada.
But I am telling you that it doesn't really matter because the point is that, as you just said, they market to everybody.
Prada is nada.
Anyway, this woman says that she entered the store with a coworker. She was assaulted with more and more bewildering examples of Sambo-like imagery.
Oh, just leave the freaking store then, woman.
And says, Black America deserves better. We demand better, blah, blah.
Okay, yeah, and if it was made out of cotton, oh my gosh.
So she made a name for herself, and Prada got free advertising.
Exactly.
So one person, for some reason, is allowed to have this kind of influence.
We should do something. We should go in a store and get insulted by something.
I don't know. Anyway, then I have a do not try this at home type of story. Okay? This is apparently there is a new internet thing. It's called a soy sauce colon cleanse. Have you heard of that?
I think so.
So anyway, do not do this at home. But apparently there was a woman who drank a liter of soy sauce. That's a lot.
That's a mental case.
In 2 hours. And it left the woman brain dead. And so that's the reason
I think she was brain dead
this.
before she drank it.
Well, the point is that a lot of people see this stuff on the internet and they do it, and then, here we go. So do not do this at home. So a soy sauce colon cleanse, which isn't what you think because it's drinking and not putting it up
Take
the
an
bone.
enema.
But the interesting thing to me was she was recently released from a psychiatric hospital
There you go.
for what was believed to be paranoid schizophrenia because she had a paranoid belief that the government had poisoned her and read online that the soy sauce colon cleanse would rid her body of toxins. So first of all, the government isn't going to go run around and poison people out there. So read 13 Cube, True Reality of Sexuality.
Well, they do poison you with the stuff they put in foods and medicines and all that.
That's general.
But they
They're
don't
not
pick
gonna,
on a particular person.
Exactly.
That's general.
That's right. So I'm just saying, these are, and there are a lot of paranoid people out there that think that
and we know all of them.
They think that they are specifically being targeted by the government. In fact, do not call yourself a targeted individual because
no, everybody's targeted.
Yeah. So just
the whole world is targeted.
Yeah,
not just you.
Exactly. Do our healing work. Stuart says is great. Hyperspace Helper has basic deprogramming in here. Hyperspace Plus, Healing Archetypes and Symbols. These are great healing books for your library and your mind. Anyway, so after she drank it, she said her heart started beating faster, and she did
because of the salt in there.
Yes, because what happened apparently, there was so much salt that all the water from her body went to try and flush it out, so it pulled from her brain and all of her internal organs, and her salt level and her blood went sky high. So by the time they got to the hospital, of course, she's passed out, and the doctors gave her water, I believe, glucose with glucose in it, to try to dilute the blood, blah, blah. Well, it took her 4 days before she came to. And when she woke up, she couldn't move, swallow, or speak. And she has some kind of a damage to her nerve cells.
You think.
And the doctor said most people couldn't drink that much that fast because their body would automatically vomit it up, but hers didn't. So, but I'm just telling you, these are things you should not do at home.
Or anywhere.
Anywhere. It's just terrible what people do to themselves. So on the other end of the spectrum, I have kind of a good news story, I guess.
Good.
Did you know the world's oldest billionaire is 100 years old?
No, he doesn't write to me.
Chan Young Chung.
Of course he is.
Founder of Pacific International Alliance, or PIL, is 100 years old. He's the world's oldest billionaire.
Where is he living?
He's in Singapore.
Ah, Singapore.
And he has handed over the role of executive chairman to his son just last year when he was 99. But he still goes to the office every day and he checks on all his people.
So his son is like 75?
Well, probably. It depends on when he had this son. But my point is if you're a billionaire, you can live to be 100.
What about the poor people who live to be over 100?
Well, I guess they're the ones that avoid men and they eat chocolate and they drink, right?
And smoke?
They're all women, aren't they?
No, there's men too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They avoid men too? Maybe?
Apparently.
Yeah. So anyway, the good news is you can be 100 and be a billionaire and still go into your office every day. And the man looked pretty good for 100. I mean, a lot of times you see people...
But Asian people don't age that
I don't know, but he looked he looked good.
Yeah.
So that's my happy story.
I used to have clients in Singapore, the old ladies would come to me, and I'd go through the whole thing, blah, 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 and all they care about at the end, they say to me, so I live long time? It's like, yeah, you live a long time, bye.
Yeah. Anyway, so as you know, we're coming up into the holiday season, and so I just want to remind people that we have wonderful books out there that make gifts. A lot of people are getting these for family and friends, and if you are a non-English speaker, these are great books. If you like Native American...
I'm a Native American now.
That's what I hear. This is an archetypal story of creation. This is fascinating. You will love this book. And, of course, Basics for Your Library, Decoding Your Life. This will help you decode your life.
I would love to decode my life.
And we have, of course, our self-affirming webinars that will be resuming again in January.
Yes, I have this on my list.
Yes, and if you want to prepare for a January class, and these are really great. First of all, your autobiography is good, so you know who Stuart is. A lot of you write in and say, "Who are you?" and you make all kinds of comments.
They do?
They do.
Then why are they watching in the first place?
I don't know. And then they say, "I write on your coattails."
Well, that's true.
Yeah, and then I don't add anything. I'm just here as
That's the absolute truth.
Yeah,
That's
so
a smart person wrote that one.
Yeah. So, anyway, True World History, Blue Blood, True Blood. These are great books to help you get kind of caught up to date for the January class. All of them really will help you prepare. And we only have a couple weeks left and registration will be closing. So be sure if you're coming, you sign up or let us know you want to come.
Yes.
Then in March, I guess you're going to Quito.
I'm going to Quito. And this time Mother Superior is bringing another nun.
Oh.
So I'm going to have two nuns in my class.
N-O-N-E?
I don't know if they do or not.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very exciting. I spoke to 2 nuns before.
You have had nuns in your classes before.
Not 2 together, Mother Superior and another nun.
Yeah.
It's very
You
challenging.
used to go to New Jersey.
I have
You
to
had-
hide behind people when I talk about Jesus.
You used to have nuns in New Jersey when you went there.
I did?
Yeah. Remember?
Well, I'll have none of that.
And I've had nuns in my classes.
Yeah. And then in May, Havana, again, I've been invited, well, I've been asked to create a conference, which is actually interesting because now I've been placed as liaison between the Cuban government and the Russian government. And there's going to be this huge event. My friend Steven Seagal is coming, as well other very important people. We will have music, martial arts, indigenous medicine, alternative cancer treatment information, and many, many other things. And we will have more details as time goes on. I have also invited the new president of Mexico, who is a friend of ours. And so it's going to be very, very, very exciting. And sometime, I don't know the dates in May yet, but it will be May 2019. And then, of course, Italy Plus. I call it Italy Plus.
We're working on that. Right now, we're leaning toward being in Italy around the 15th of June, I believe. So we're working with the hotels right now to confirm those dates. And then once that's done, then we'll be able to give you for sure when.
Which means I will be here in time for you to send Father's Day gifts, which is, I think, just a few days before that.
No.
Around that time. Well,
No.
anyway, so early.
June 16th.
So I'm going to miss Father's Day?
Well, you'll be in Italy for Father's Day, but you won't miss it. It's there.
Well, so then you can
June
send the gifts to
16th.
Italy. We'll give you the hotel address anyway.
Yeah.
And just one thing I want to say, because of what you mentioned about the YouTube, if you have
I mentioned
questions
about what?
YouTube, any questions, because when we go through, we see they're asking me this question. Listen, those of you on YouTube, those of you on Facebook, if you have questions, I am not answering questions on YouTube and Facebook. You need to go to our site, expansions.com.
Right, because we have memberships there. It's
I am not going to do this on
less
Facebook
than $1
or
a
YouTube.
day unless you do it, which I've told you before. It's less than, well, it's about 53 cents a day if you get the annual membership. It's very, very cheap. But the reason we do that is so only those who are serious and actually will pay money, then that's if you're serious enough to pay something for a time.
Or if you come from Sirius A.
Then that means that, okay, you're not just these people who come and write nasty comments, because there are people who write stupid, ridiculous, nasty questions.
And some of them are pretty ridiculous.
So therefore, that's why we do that. So if you want to know about us, I've got all these books you can read. You can visit our site. You can get a membership. We actually have a free 3-day trial membership. So if you sign up and you don't like it, you're not charged anything.
Oh, and here's the thing. And those of you who do sign up for a 3-day membership, don't think that you're going to sign up for 3 days, then ask me 40 million questions in those 3 days to use me and then drop out. I'm not doing that either.
Yeah. The steward would say we're not prostitutes, right?
Well, not completely prostitute.
So point being is that give a little something and we give a lot. And there are a lot of people who are members, and we have a wonderful, wonderful, strong membership base. And so if you want to interact with those kind of people who will elevate and uplift you, who are trying and doing their best to uplift and upgrade their life, their relationships, their financial status, their careers, their jobs, you name it, then you belong on our site. And if not,
You don't use me, please. You know, I'm a person too. A very high-ranking person. But I still have feelings.
how about me?
Remember what happened before
What?
where you just ride on my
Oh,
coattails?
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. That's right. We don't want to mention that I started Expansions about 20 years before I met you.
Because you were preparing it for me.
All right. So, with that said, like, comment, kind comments, which we greatly appreciate. Subscribe and share. And like our Facebook page, get a membership, even join and get your 3-day free trial. We have free ebooks you get when you sign up. There are all kinds of benefits. So think before you type or write.
Truly.
All right. Until next time.
Bye for now.
Bye.